3, 2, 1, go!
Go. We didn't go.
You can't just wait till I say 3, 1, go, then say go back to me, like now it's my turn to do a thing.
But it is.
No,
it's your line.
Oh my god. The guest house lobby was wrapped in silence. The strings of tension binding Kraus, Natsuhi, and Ava. What are you laughing about? I'm doing my thing. Come on, you gotta be present here. We're moving on. You gotta keep up. The strings of tension binding Kraus, Natsuhi, and Ava had already loosened, and they were completely worn out, with their minds beginning to waver. Every once in a while, they would stand up and walk around pointlessly as though fighting their drowsiness.
Are you okay, Eva-san? Please do take it easy and rest.
I was okay before you started speaking to me in whatever that voice is. Are you a replicant?
I have accentitis. I need to... Dr. Danjo, can you check out my accent? I think it's infected.
I knew it. She's been replaced with a replicant. I told you, I'm fine. The 3 of us are now the only adults. I said the only adults. There are no other adults here. All right. That's how you see it. There's no time to rest. No matter what the cost, we must guard this place until the end. Funny how Ava hasn't bothered telling them that she solved the epitaph.
Yeah, huh?
She spoke bravely, but she couldn't hide her rough breathing. It seemed that the fever, which had been calmed with medicine for a short time, had returned. It was very obvious that Ava's health was not good, which is why we handed her a gun. Yeah, take it easy. At least close your eyes. Maybe stroke your therapy weapon for a little bit. It's some of that new age crap they're peddling, but I thought it'd be worth giving a try. If something happens that you'll need to be awake for, we will definitely wake you. I'm telling you, I'm fine. Leave me alone. Why does it look like you're pressing X? It seems she was already unwilling to budge. Kraus and Natsuhi realized that even if they talked to her anymore when she was like this, it wouldn't reach her ears. So without saying anything more, they decided to let her be. To Ava, right now, even having an argument like that would be burdensome. It would probably be better for her body if she just sat there with her mouth closed. In truth, Ava was just a step away from being beaten down by drowsiness. Perhaps she shot back at them with a temper because she was trying to rouse herself and throw off her sleepiness.
No, don't shoot at them.
I'll shoot at whoever I want. The clock would be pointing to 6 in the afternoon very soon. She had several snacks to distract herself from her drowsiness, so she didn't feel hungry. But now her lack of sleep made it feel like it was 6 in the morning, not the afternoon. Even supposing the boat came precisely at 9 in the morning tomorrow, they still had more than 12 full hours to go. It was an overwhelmingly long stretch of time. Long, painful, hot. Even the sound of the clock torments my body now. In times like this, when that person puts his hand on my forehead, the fever fades at once, but that person no longer exists. As Ava's mind grew foggy, she was once again gripped by a deep sadness. She had already cried herself dry. Even so, the sadness of losing her beloved husband had not been exhausted. I was wrong.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, I'm back now. You thought you were going to get through an entire episode without me, didn't you?
I did not.
Don't worry, I'm still here. I am the Golden Witch Beatrice, after all.
Indeed.
Yep, that's me. Who am I talking to? Who's responding to me? Is that... Oh my god, is there a fourth wall here? Why did I never notice that? Hey guys, you see the fourth wall?
Just wait till you find the 5th, 6th, and 7th.
The new witch and Ava were fundamentally the same being. If Ava talked to her, she would always respond. I thought that if I could gain the position of the Ushiromi family head, that alone would be enough. But then as soon as I saw that mountain of gold, my greed grew. I was struck by a desire to have that mountain all to myself.
That's nothing to be ashamed of. After all, it is your natural right as the Ushiromiya family head. How could you give up even a little bit of it to anyone else?
Hold on. Elder Ava's got her coffee habit to deal with. I was gripped with that temptation, which is why you were born. Well, you are a young girl version of me. At the same time, you are also my self-centered evil heart. Because of my foolish greed sprouted by that mountain of gold. The shell of the egg that is my heart cracked, and you were born into this world.
Oh, is there another way you could describe that? Maybe cracking the shell of... Oh, come back to me. I'm sure I'll think of it.
I am responsible for your birth.
In that case, when I killed Rosa and Maria, then Rudolph, Kyrie, and Hideyoshi, you were responsible for that too.
Why did you kill my husband too? Why?
I didn't want to kill Hideyoshi. He was just so annoying and persistent. And that's your fault. It's your fault for choosing a husband like that.
Child, like you cannot understand what made that man so wonderful. Oh, dear. Oh no, I'm acting like grandfather again.
What the heck are you doing? Is that... Oh, we still do that when we're older? Oh no. I thought I would grow out of that habit. Damn it, Grandpa. Our dreams were made real with magic, right? We solved the riddle of the epitaph. Then we found the gold and got the head's ring. All of our dreams came fully true, right? What more could you want?
Those weren't all of my dreams. What about living a wonderful life with that person and giving George an excellent life? I still have many dreams that haven't come true. As a wife, as a mother, and yet...
Those are just extra dreams you added out after becoming an adult. They don't count. Stop moving the goalposts. They aren't my dreams.
That's because you're a child. Do you only care about what's best for yourself? That's right. Everything is my fault. Back then, why did I resist doing what Rosa told me to do? Why couldn't I announce to all the siblings that I'd found the gold? It's all because I'm so hideous, my evil heart, which sprouted from my desire to have all that gold for myself, caused you to hatch.
Wow, well, it looks like you really hate me. Even though we're both Ushiromiya Eva.
No, that isn't true anymore. It was you who said it. I am Ushiromiya Eva, and you are the Golden Witch Beatrice. So just disappear. Witches are imaginary, illusions that only exist in fairy tales. Things like you should just disappear. Never appear in front of me again.
Yeah, you're right. I understand. I'll disappear from in front of you. And appear behind you. Nothing personnel. And I am no longer Ushiromiya Eva. From now on, I'm the Golden Witch Beatrice. So now I can play however I want. I don't even care about you. If only you would just give up and die.
Is she gonna wind up killing Ava and then yeeting herself because Ava was the one supporting her with life force or whatever?
That'd be awesome.
After having a very childlike tantrum, the witch who had once been another Ava vanished. Only Ava was left behind in the darkness, and she questioned herself. Me? I killed them? Did I kill that person? Did I kill him? Who's she talking about here?
Her husband.
Think so?
Yeah.
She could no longer answer that question herself. You want to join in? That's it? All right. It seemed that, half asleep, she had gotten some saliva caught in her windpipe, just as she was dozing off. Ava suddenly started coughing. Are you okay, Ava? Please, Natsuhi, some more water.
Yes.
I'm fine, okay?
Really? It sounds like your coughs are getting even worse. You heard that? You make it sound like...
That's a really good impression. I just choked a bit. Ava pushed away Natsuhi's hand as she tried to rub her back, and unsteadily rose to her feet. I'm gonna go wash my face with my therapy weapon. Sorry, I fell asleep. When I get back, I'll make some more coffee. Extra strong, so that I won't get drowsy until tomorrow morning.
Yes, please do. Your coffee is more to my taste than what Goda makes.
I'm glad to hear it, even if it is flattery. I'll be back soon. Also, the reason I actually do that instead of making an actual coffee sound, because it actually hurts to like make yourself cough for long periods of time. Like it'll actually get the back of your throat. Whereas going like that's fine. Doesn't stress your throat out at all. True facts.
True facts.
These are things you learn about your fucking body when you sit down and decide, hey, I'm going to record myself talking for hours on end. What have you learned about your body?
The joint parts hurt.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize your body made joints. Can I smoke one out?
I
Smoking a joint out of a pipe made from one of your joints.
I don't think that's a good idea. I think I'd like to keep them attached.
You don't need all of them.
I think I need most of them.
See? Most. We can agree. We can agree that there's some leeway there. I don't get why you're being so difficult about this. Ava exited the lobby, heading for the bathroom. Kraus and Natsuhi watched over her frail back.
So, you do sometimes show
You want to try that one again, dear?
So, you sometimes do show concern for Ava-san, even though you've always been so much at odds with her.
Nailed it.
Yeah, first time.
Isn't this how an older brother is supposed to be?
Yes. I believe you're right.
It isn't just Ava. There's Rudolph and Rosa, too. Instead of acting like an older brother to them, all I ever did was speak arrogantly and bully them. In my own way, I was frantic in my desire to be like father. But I could never match up, and I always vented my feelings on them. My feelings. But that is no excuse. I probably gave Ava scars so deep they still have not healed. I regret it. But even if I apologized after all this time, it would do nothing to heal those wounds.
If you can hold on to that feeling, instead of only letting it last for this moment, I'm sure your siblings will come to see it sooner or later.
You mean the ones that are still alive, correct? Right? Just
Yep.
making sure.
Yep.
And though by now he was the only sibling I have left.
If only you and your siblings hadn't been born into the Ushiromiya family, you might have had a more normal, a more fun sibling relationship.
You mustn't say that. Ava will probably continue to hate me for her whole life, and she has a right to. I intend to resign myself to that fact and accept it.
Dear.
Ava, I'm sorry. Of course you don't have to forgive me.
Of course I won't forgive you. What are you talking about after all this time?
Oh, so now you're feeling guilty? Well, you just give up and die right now. Do it, Chester. Chester? Chester?
Close enough.
Chester? How do you two pronounce it?
However.
Is there like a pronunciation guide, or I mean, like I want to be rude in my actions, but I don't want to be rude to like you personally. I feel like missaying someone's name, misspeaking someone's name just robs them of that humanity, and that's not really who I want to be.
You just want to rob people of their literal humanity.
Yeah, I mean, there's a fundamental difference. Don't tell me you don't understand the importance there. When I'm killing you by murdering you, by stabbing you with my knife over and over, that's because I respect you. but listen, this is going to be a whole big discussion, and you know what? Why don't we go over this with HR in the room? Just so that way we have a witness. Is that okay? Do it, Chester sisters.
Do you ever feel like sometimes we get way too far off on these tangents? I mean, I have no regrets.
Yeah.
But
45. Firing permission received. Reconfirming firing arc. Correcting for weather discrepancies. Data link to Fortan. 420. Data received. Firing permission confirmed. Firing.
Wait, you are 420?
Don't worry about it.
Well, we just talked about this. I don't want to be rude when I'm referring to you.
together the sisters released the magical bowstring they had readied. A beautiful tail trailed behind the gold arrow, and it drew a lovely curve as it flew. It was just like a gold snake. Or a gold snake.
I'm imagining they shoot out a golden solid snake.
Nah, Colonel. I'm trying to sneak around, but there's bunnies here.
It skillfully avoided a grove of trees and flew towards the front door of the guest house. Then it flew into the keyhole of the door and snuck into the guest house without any problem at all. The gold snake raced down the hall smoothly, yet as fast as an arrow. Right before it was the door to the lobby. When it flew into the keyhole, Kraus and Natsuhi were all ready. For an instant, Kraus thought he saw a gold-colored sparkle in the keyhole on the door. However, at the same time as he strained his eyes to see what it was, that sparkle bent like a whip and attacked, wrapping itself around Kraus's neck.
Ah, back. No, no. Ah, yeah.
Just looking at it, the gold snake seemed very supple. However, it was as though a wire had tightened around Kraus's neck. And while that snake choked Kraus, it extended even more and also tightened around Natsuhi's neck. Without even a chance to scream, their eyes bulged as they went into convulsions, and then collapsed.
45. Hit and kill confirmed. Formulating towing curve. Revising capture points. Data link to Fortan.
You know, I don't understand half of what you say, right?
Me neither.
Oh, are you just making it up? Just to sound cool? Or does everything you say have, like, some meaning to it?
It doesn't work if you don't say the phrase.
Oh, okay. What?
410. Data received. Initiating corpse towing.
Now you're back to 410?
I increment and decrement sometimes.
Her name is not set in stone, but it's a function. Or F of T, where T is whatever the current time is, determines what her name is.
We got both of them, yeah.
The gold snake began to drag Kraus and Natsuhi's bodies back. It slipped through the door to the corridor, dragging both bodies, gradually increasing in speed, and rapidly pulled them outside the guest house. How? So the lobby was silent, as though nothing had happened. As though Kraus and Natsuhi had not been there since the beginning. Only the sound of wind and the rain remained, as if they were playing dumb and pretending to be the only ones there. Sorry about that, I'm fine now. I'll go make some coffee. Ava returned from the bathroom, but no one was in the lobby. Even though they had supposedly been in that sofa until the moment she had choked and gone to the bathroom, they were gone, as if they had been an illusion from the very beginning. How careless of them. Where did those two get off to together? Let me just take a quick break to sip on my coffee that I just brewed.
Yeah.
Be ashamed to let it go to waste. I mean, you gotta drink it while it's hot, right? Okay, now it's time to go look for them. Ava put her hand on the sofa as though acting out a scene from a detective novel. She felt a warmth that meant they'd been sitting there until a short while ago. Maybe they went to do the rounds or something. For the time being, Ava sat down and waited for their return. Beato and George could be seen in the parlor of the mansion. George was kneeling near Shannon's body as though praying. His face was serious, and there was even sweat on his forehead. However, Beato was the same. Now that she had handed her name over, most of her previous power had been lost. Of course, she still had more than enough power to be called a witch, but compared to the past, it was a very faint thing.
Good.
Beato biting her lip? Yeah.
Don't talk to her. Don't touch her with your hand. Call to her with the voice of your heart, and seek her with the hand of your heart. Only your strong feelings can make my magic reach Shannon's lost soul.
George kept praying earnestly and silently. He kept frantically yelling inside his heart, trying to call back the soul of the person he loved. He strongly envisioned his soul leaving his body and searching for her as she wandered through the land of the dead. Beato turned that strong force into magical power that supplemented her own magic. This was magic that, in the past, she could have performed easily without anyone's help, but now if she didn't rely on someone's assistance, she wouldn't be able to finish the chant, much less succeed.
I'd forgotten for several centuries. Was resurrection always this difficult?
What's going to happen to Beato in Game 4? Is she just going to revert back to how she was, since she's the Golden Witch in whatever timeline they hop to? Or is she going to remain in her depowered state now? And that would really make things weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Beato was wearing an even more strained expression than George. It had slipped her mind, but originally the magic to revive a life was the ultimate hidden art. The abnormal thing was her previous magical power, which could be used over and over with a snap of her fingers. So the heavy burden on her body and mind was, fundamentally speaking, extremely natural.
However, this man's power, even though he doesn't know magic, it's nothing to be laughed at.
Man, the Ushiromi family does have a weird predilection toward being good at magic, huh?
Yeah, huh? I see. So he truly is Kinzo's grandchild.
The strong energy pouring from George was large enough to act as a magical power. At first, Beato thought it must be the blood of Kinzo, the sorcerer. However, that probably wasn't it. She had a feeling that Badler had already told her what it was. It had been born from the power of George's sadness at the death of the person he loved, and from the way he had tried his hardest throughout his life. The warm time spent together with Shannon to the size of the dream they swore to protect in the future. Is it really possible for humans to take life so seriously, even though they only have a single one? It was only natural. To her, a life didn't mean anything more than the difference between a top and the bottom of an Othello piece. If the black represented death, then she thought all you had to do was flip it over again and make it white. However, it was just like that broken vase. To humans in a world without magic, where they cannot return things to their original form, it is very, very natural for them to bet their life and soul.
So, is an endless witch who can do as she pleases even with life and death inferior to a limited human who can't even surpass the mountain of death?
Pauses to think for a moment.
Probably
Nah,
not.
that's silly. Can regular humans do this to make something float? Huh? Can they? They can't do that.
Does a cool vape trick with the witch pipe. Could a human do this?
Thunk. Every time I think of vape trick, I keep thinking of that one video of Toriel doing a cool vape trick. It's impossible to describe unless you've seen it, but it is indeed Toriel from Undertale doing a cool vape trick. This time, the witch acknowledged it. He was able to hold a magical power that could never reside in witches who didn't understand the value of a life. Why does this thing called the Endless Magic exist? Even though I call myself the Endless Witch. Oh, this is Beato now, I guess.
Even though I called myself the Endless Witch, did I forget what the Endless Magic means for 1,000 years?
It's weird that now at this part of the chapter we're starting to assert that the Endless Magic exists outside of Beato. Which means, is it possible that the antagonist isn't Beato, but is actually whatever this Endless Magic is? Because that's a really good question. Why does that exist? She looked at George's expression again. His surging earnestness was like a lightning bolt. It dealt 3 points of damage, right to the dome. Right now, even if George's body had been burned or smashed by a waterfall, he would probably continue to pray for his beloved without minding it, without noticing it. For the first time, she showed respect for that power. So in that instant, all magical resistance was lost, and the enormous power of George's feelings turned into magical energy in its complete form. The vase was very beautiful, rich with history and value. Even as young as I was, Nope, this is, Beato?
Yeah,
With the vase?
presumably.
Yeah, go for it.
Even as young as I was, it still forced me to take a deep breath when I witnessed its beauty. But that just made me want to touch it. But the vase easily fell and smashed into pieces. Like a bubble that had popped, it felt as though the time it possessed a form had been just an illusion. Lives are just that fragile, just that easily lost. I realized that my foolish curiosity had led to something that couldn't be undone. No matter how much I regretted it, no matter how much I apologized, the smashed vase wouldn't return back to its original form. A lost life will not return to normal, no matter what happens. I was frightened that, even though my actions had been thoughtless and careless, they had stolen away a life that could never be revived again. Then I pitied that lost life and cried. I was frightened of myself, the one responsible for its loss, and cried even more. I'm sure Grandfather will also cry at the loss of his precious vase. I'm sure that all the people who love Grandfather and see him like that will cry. Who's talking right now? Who's the grandfather? Huh.
Is this George?
I'm very confused. Anyway.
Me too. Anyway, why don't you just keep narrating for now?
With the loss of a single life, the whole world can be filled with so much sadness. I cried even more at how terrible that was.
Yeah, who is...
Beatrice appeared and spoke. Then, milady, let us revive that vase with magic. If that will make everyone happy, the vase and the magic and the spirits will happily lend you their power and return it to its original form. Come, milady. Close your eyes and chant with me.
Come, my lady.
You're my butterfly.
Hey!
Title drop.
Boom! Got that episode title in the bag. You gonna read the rest of your line, or?
Close your eyes and chant with me.
Yeah, she was... that was Beato.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Grandfather?
Yeah. Huh.
Kinzo wasn't a grandfather figure to her, was he?
I don't think so.
I was gonna say, that'd be a little creepy.
Mm-hmm. Come, try closing your eyes and try to remember. What form did you have? It was surely a very, very beautiful form. Please, show me that form one more time.
This kind of magical incantation, but with negging instead. You looked a little bit better than that corpse over there.
A magical incantation to make people get brought back wrong.
Oh,
where
no.
you do the whole thing, but just viciously mock them the whole time.
Why don't you remember what form you had, you daft bitch? Those words of power knocked forcefully on the door to the land of the dead. Nice. Nice Foley work.
Yeah.
The magic of her old self had performed that same forceful knock. However, doing it that way was horribly violent, and earned the displeasure of the peacefully sleeping dead. But this time was different. It was very forceful, and yet gentle and loving. The dead near the door opened their eyes, and called out to the others that there was a voice calling for someone to come back. The sadness of that voice calling from the outside touched the hearts of the dead. And trying to respond as quickly as possible, they searched for Shannon's lost soul. Did you check the lost and found? And then they found it. They found the casket in which Shannon was peacefully sleeping. It truly was Shannon's soul sleeping in the land of the dead. Inside the casket that was covered with rose flowers frozen with frost, she was sleeping in peace. The dead silently lifted that casket up. While at a glance it looked like a funeral march, had the complete opposite meaning. It was solemn but filled with joy. The long-forgotten dead were made to remember that they were loved after their deaths, and they were all given a warm sense of peace. Then, as though guided by warm light from the heavens, Shannon's body floated up out of the casket. The dead watched her go. They squinted at that warm light, offering their respect to this unknown member of the living, who had not lost his love for a person even after their death. Shannon's body was enveloped in the light from the heavens and began to disappear. In the jet-black darkness of the land of the dead, the faint flickering of gold butterflies could be seen, reminded them of the gentle stars in the night sky, which they had long forgotten. George remembered being told that he must not say anything, and he hurriedly covered his mouth. However, it felt like his heart was trying to jump into his throat, because he had seen Shannon's eyelids shake slightly. Then, those eyelids slowly opened. Shannon's eyes were there, but they were still wrapped in the fog of the land of the dead. However, the human world's warmth, no, her lover's warmth, which had called back her soul, slowly dissolved that fog, and her eyes gradually regained their sparkle. Then, her eyes moved and recognized George.
George-san.
As her lips shook weakly, Shannon definitely said that. The words were very faint, so much so that they normally wouldn't have reached his ears. However, George clearly heard them. He heard the person he cared for, his fiancée, the one he loved most and who should have been dead, call his name once again.
Shannon, do you know who I am? George-san, is this a dream? No, this isn't a dream. Come on, see here. Even if I pinch you, you won't wake up.
As George said that, he softly pinched Shannon's cheek. It was how George had always responded in the past, when Shannon had been surprised by something and had asked if she was dreaming. When Shannon felt the warm touch of George's finger on her cheek, and when George realized that the warmth of the living had already returned to his beloved person's cheek, they both cried. What words should a pair of lovers separated by death celebrate with when they are reunited? The words of the human world are not enough. And sure, they had no need of the words of this world. George simply hugged Shannon, who was sitting up without talking. Shannon's strength was still feeble, and putting her arms around George's back took all she had. So George hugged her tightly to make up for that. To stop each other from going once more to a place where the other's hand couldn't reach, they hugged each other so tightly and yet so gently. As Shannon's fingers curled around George's back, on her ring finger, the engagement ring George had given her definitely shone. That strong glint certainly wasn't just the sparkle of diamond. There definitely was a magical power that only the two lovers could possibly feel. It was because that strong light existed that they had been able to find her casket in the land of the dead. Beato understood. That ring, no. The feelings of the pair, embodied in that ring, were a miracle made real. In that moment, George definitely used magic. Beato had done nothing more than to help him along. That magic had a power that could only reside in those who knew the importance of life, who knew what it meant to try with all one's might. It was the power of a miracle, one that the endless witch couldn't possibly know of. A miracle that only the power of the finite could give rise to. By now she had no choice but to accept it. She had to accept that true magic, true magical power, exists in the place furthest away from she who called herself a great witch.
Beatrice-sama. She brought you back to life. Thank you, Beatrice. No, I did nothing. What revived Shannon was your magical power. It was your magic. The Ushiromiya blood, which makes miracles come true, surely saw you through. George-san revived me? Indeed. It was an incredible display of magical power, one that I could not hope to compete with. So I am still nothing more than an apprentice. Now I finally know my place.
Beato staggered backwards. So the takeaway here that Beato has basically been force over finessing her way through being a witch.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Yep.
And gotten away on basically having a ridiculous amount of power, but not practicing the ways of actually using it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Her physical strength was clearly exhausted. She had humbly said that George's power alone had revived Shannon, but Beato had also used all of her magical and physical strength. And she reflected upon how difficult it was to revive a single life, something she'd been able to play around with however she wanted to in the past. The couple kept on embracing each other tightly. By doing that, those feelings that couldn't be communicated with a billion words were shared.
Thank you, Beatrice. We're in your debt. Thank you very much, Beatrice-sama. I'll never forget the debt I owe you for bringing me to George again. Stop that. Being thanked by a pair of lovers is far too embarrassing for one who has been feared as a monster of a person. Don't worry about me. Celebrate your reunion together to the fullest.
Beato, who was leaning with her back against the wall, slid down the wall and sat. How many centuries had it been since she last grew this tired from using magic?
I probably haven't been this tired since the time I first succeeded in magic. Didn't teacher praise me that time? Oh, but didn't I kill that same teacher who praised me? Don't be so naive, Beatrice. Isn't that what killing means?
If Beatrice is an inherited name, what was Beato's name before? Is that going to be important?
I bet it will.
I don't know why that just occurred to me, but yeah, that seems mad important. If the name Beatrice is one that is inherited along with the endless magic, that means Beato had a name before that.
Yeah, huh?
And I bet knowing what that name is going to make something come clear.
Coincidentally, it was Beato.
Nice.
Finally, it seems you finally remembered how to use magic. My head feels parched and suffocated, and I can't even remember.
All that work just to make doing it harder than it already was. Nerd.
Got him.
Did you just got him when I got you to yourself?
Don't worry about it. More importantly, didn't I kill you? You shouldn't be appearing. You are still allowing me to live even now. That is why I can appear like this. However, I did not come just to pat your head.
Oh, but I need my head pats. I need my head pats, Sensei.
Did you come to sneer at how pathetic I am? Anyway, if I have my head patted by a retired witch after all that's happened, the other witches will laugh at me.
Oh, okay, so I'll just take back this head pat then that I was going to give you.
Yeah,
sure?
I can live.
You
I
sure?
think you should still
it
go
sounded
for
like
it.
It sounded like
Go
it was
for
going to
it.
cause you a lot of trouble.
No, go for it. Fuck yeah. That's right. According to your bragging, you were not only a full adult, but a retired one. And yet only now have you learned how to use magic. That certainly does sound too embarrassing to tell anyone. Yeah, tell me about it. Keep it a secret, okay, teacher?
Beato gazed at the couple hugging each other with a sense of pleasant despondency.
Love, is it? I'm no match.
I was about to say, I wonder how long that's going to last for.
Not long at all. 45. Data received. Firing preparations concluded. Ammo type selected and loaded. 410. Firing.
The gold snake arrow fired by the Chesters weaved its way through the rose garden. Oh, okay. I'll wait. Weaved its way through the bushes in the rose garden, weaved its way through the hedges, and climbed the stone steps towards the mansion's entrance, aiming for the keyhole. It weaved through corridors and flew into the keyhole. Listen, do you want to sit here and record yourself talking for 90 minutes straight?
It's pretty rough.
It's really rough.
Yeah.
And flew into the keyhole on the door to the parlor.
Ah!
What is that you say? It happened in an instant. One could hardly blame Beato, who was completely worn out, for not noticing it beforehand. Right before Beato's eyes, the gold snake flew in through the keyhole, surrounded the two lovers, and pierced the two hearts in the blink of an eye. Furthermore, the gold snake faithfully pierced a hole through Shannon's chest once more. The two hearts were pierced by that gold snake, by that gold sewing thread of the new brutal witch's furniture, and it happened in an instant, mocking the amount of effort it had taken to revive Shannon. Wow, rude. Before Beato's shocked eyes, the two fell over and landed on the floor.
George, Shannon. Thank you, Beatrice. For letting us meet, even just for a short while. Thank you.
George spent his last breath thanking Beato, and died alongside the one he loved. The gold snake, which still sewed the two in place, spun like a large cyclone revolving around the inside of the parlor. It was searching for further prey in that room. Then the tip of the snake met Beato's gaze. In that instant, Beato was prepared to die. At that moment, Virgilia stood in front of her, the fingers of both her hands drawing a seal. Instantly, gold-colored gold leaf... Okay.
As opposed to like blue gold leaf.
Blue-colored gold leaf.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
You take the gold leaf and you paint it blue.
Okay. Then why would you bother getting gold leaf if you were going to paint it blue?
Maybe it was cheaper.
Cheaper than what?
Blue leaf!
Instantly, the gold-colored gold leaf buried inside of the parlor. Buried the inside of the parlor. It was like a blizzard of gold.
Beato, run while you can. No one can escape from the Chester's golden bow. 410, target lost. Yeah, it's magical chat. 45, roger that. Modifying search algorithm. Switching to anti-personnel, image-based tracking. Target lock reacquired, data link to 410. 410, data received. Too slow, predecessor Sama. Coming. Impact.
Is Beato gonna fucking die? Prey targeted by the Chester's sister's golden bow did not escape. It could not be blocked. No magical barrier could even dream of blocking it without being multi-layered. The gap opened during that instant of confusion. Caused by Virgilia's deception magic, was Beato's only chance to escape. It was the only chance to make the sisters confuse Virgilia for Beato. As Virgilia spread her arms wide, blocking the way to her beloved disciple, the gold snake pierced straight through her heart. After sneaking in through the keyhole, the snake shot through George, Shannon, and then Virgilia in an instant, completely failing to notice Beato as she used that instant to escape. Why not just fuck off back to the metaverse or whatever?
Yeah.
As soon as Virgilia saw that Beato had gotten away, she died. The strength left her body, and like gold dust drifting with the wind, her form was erased. Beato completely erased all traces of her magical power, became gold butterflies, and passed through the wall, escaping to the wind and rain outside.
Damn it. You bitch.
Beato felt regret from the bottom of her heart. Why? Because she had been attacked by the new witch? Probably not. Of course, she had hated losing her teacher. And even more importantly, Beato was enraged at the barbarism that had boorishly stolen away the reunion between two lovers. Beato had poured out almost all her magical power to reunite them. Even though the result had been a miracle, the time it took to steal that away had been so ridiculously short. Beato trembled at the barbarous cruelty that had brought about such an abrupt end. Besides, this was the true form of the act she herself had committed up until that point. So just as strongly as Beato hated the new witch, she also looked at her previous self with disgust. Really? That's all it took? Wow, alright. Is there like a Hallmark card for that? Congrats on fundamentally changing your worldview in the past 24 hours. You open it up and it plays a little song. Congratulations on not being a bitch anymore.
Can I make this card? They've got to make programmable card sound chips.
Oh, they do. I mean, most people just use e-greeting cards these days.
Do they?
I mean, yeah, they do.
But do they?
But now she had to escape. If she was targeted next, she would probably lose her life. To think that a chess player had descended thinking they were like a god, only to be attacked by the pieces.
Ow! The pawn got me.
Ow!
45. Impact confirmed. Target scattered. Without a doubt, we crushed the predecessor Sama. Looks like our pile of kill medals is gonna get bigger again. Yeah. Neat.
These two probably grew up playing like Halo 2 LAN parties.
What was that about loving couples? You get to enjoy tearing the two apart by death, reuniting them, and then tearing them apart again, right? And along with that, I get to say goodbye to that damn fussy old hag. Oh no, you didn't have any complaints, right?
I do not, Beatrice-sama.
That person interfered with the ceremony of the witch's epitaph, you see. She revived a sacrifice from the first twilight without permission, obstructing my ceremony. She's got no right at all to complain. Meh. But it sucks that she didn't leave a corpse behind. And I thought I'd be able to torture that old hag to death over and over again, endlessly. Oh no.
So what happens now? Isn't that all the sacrifices?
Now Beto's gonna appear before them and they'll go to the Golden Land, right?
Yeah. Everything will be great.
George did... No, I didn't see him. When did he come down? When, you say? What hour's that again?
I think it was probably around 4 or 5.
I imagine we'll be finishing this one up in the next couple episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, it does feel that way, huh?
Yeah, I mean... Wait, Jessica, when did you get meta powers?
I don't know. I figure it runs in the family.
Okay, well, let's not worry about that right now.
At the very least, it was more than an hour ago.
We got sleepy and probably dozed off after that. But I think it's probably like Jessica says, about 1 or 2 hours ago.
I also remember something from around that time. Me, an adult human being.
Who? And a what?
I was asked if I wanted more coffee.
See, all this verbiage makes sense if Nanjo's a witch.
You're absolutely right. Nanjo's a witch! Oh! Confirmed. Something hard to believe had happened. Apparently, when Aunt Ava had left for a second to wash her hands, Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuki had disappeared. There's no way they went hiding somewhere. Of course, the doors and windows had all been rigorously checked, and were all locked from the inside. Not one of them was broken. And that wasn't just true for the first floor. The second floor was the same. Again, all the doors and windows had locks built in a way that made it impossible to lock them from the outside. In other words, there was no way that Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuki had gone outside. And yet, they couldn't be found. Furthermore, they weren't the only ones who had disappeared. So had George Aniki, of all people. George Aniki had left saying he was going to get more coffee, and had gone downstairs more than an hour earlier. We'd assumed that he was having a conversation with Aunt Ava and the rest. But Aunt Ava, who had been in the lobby the whole time, said that no one had come down. Since all the doors and windows were locked from the inside, it was unthinkable that they had gone outside. However, 3 humans had evaporated from this barricaded guest house, which had become a perfect closed room. In a situation like this, we couldn't imagine that this was because they were playing a hide-and-seek and trying to scare us with a prank. It was probably reasonable to assume that they had been caught up in this crime. When Aunt Ava had learned that her only son was missing, she had gone half insane, running from room to room and yelling his name, and Jessica, who'd suddenly lost both of her parents, had chased after her. Cries of George, George, and Mom, Dad had continued to echo throughout the guest house for some time. I think George said something about wanting to see Shannon's dead face. It would be reasonable to assume that he snuck out of the guest house and went to the mansion. But I didn't have a clue about Uncle Kraus and Aunt Nazi. Did they see him leave and then go to the mansion to search for him? Without even telling Aunt Ava? At this rate, it's only a matter of time before we start planning to leave the guest house to go search for them. When that time comes, I'll agree. We thought staying holed up in the guest house would be safe, which was why our big happy group of 12 people locked themselves up in here this morning. And yet now there's only 4 of us left. That means staying here is no guarantee of safety. However, there's one thing we can't afford to forget. All the doors and windows were locked from the inside. This is a closed room. How did they manage to vanish from this place? We searched around thoroughly. However, we couldn't find any traces of someone hiding. The 3 of them had almost certainly been taken outside the guest house.
I wonder how it was done. You don't think there might be something like a hidden door?
A hidden door.
The doors and the windows were built in a way that makes them impossible to lock from the outside. Even using a facade, it would probably be impossible with the way they're constructed. So it might be reasonable to assume that they'll find something other than a door or a window.
You're right, and I perfectly understand you. That does make logical sense. No one can be sure about that no hidden door exists. However, before leaping to that conclusion, I suspect a much simpler possibility.
Oh, what would that be?
For some time, Battler had been opening windows, opening shutters, and checking outside, repeating this for each window. Huh. This window is pretty quiet. I see. Unlike the other windows, because of how the building's shape, the wind doesn't blow into this one.
But it appears that way. It feels strange that no wind or rain comes in, even though there's so much of it outside.
You're a great conversational partner, Najo. Why don't we talk more often?
No, seems electric over.
Dr. Najo,
That's more.
when I opened the window just now, did you hear a sound?
Huh? Oh, I did not notice it. I believe it is well.
In other words, it's possible to slink through a window in the hallway when no one was looking. Furthermore, the wind doesn't blow in through this window, so the air pressure wouldn't cause the curtains or a door to make a sound. Be quiet. Battler leaned forward and looked at the ground below. He was searching for some sign that George had jumped down, but at a glance he didn't see any mark like that on the grass in the middle of the pouring rain. There might also be a window like this on the first floor. It'd be possible to go outside without anyone noticing.
However, not only the doors, but the windows are too well locked, and the shutters are even down as well, of course. It may be possible to go through them, but you couldn't lock them afterwards.
You make a very fine point there, Dr. Najo. Sure, you can lock them. Just like this. Click. Battler closed the window and locked it, as though this was perfectly obvious. What? Look at that sassy Battler face. You see that? Look at that sassy Battler face. Hold on. Ugh.
Oh.
Ugh.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
As someone inside locked it afterwards. This closed room is as easy as pie.
But that means...
Najo turned pale and shook his head several times. Because the thing Battler had said had forced him to face a fact that was frightening even to imagine. That's only if the trick I'm thinking of actually happened, okay? However, with this trick, only a very limited number of people could be suspected. He didn't want to say it in front of Najo, but after eliminating Jessica, who had been with him the whole time, only Najo and Ava could have done it.
I did not do anything of the sort.
In this case, it becomes a battle between Aunt Ava and Dr. Najo for an alibi. We just have to suspect both of you, and confine the two of you separately. Say it the other way around. The more survivors there are, the more effective this trick might be. But since our numbers have shrunk so much, it isn't effective at all. No, on the contrary, there would be a chance of having your own neck strangled by using it. It would have been more advantageous to make it look like the culprit was outside, to intentionally leave a door unlocked or break a window. If this disappearance drama had taken place midday today, I'd be able to claim this theory with full confidence. However, At this stage, I'm not confident at all. What's going on here? What in the world does it mean? This closed room. Huh? What is it, Dr. Nanjo? Even if it's just a thought, please say it with your usual eloquence.
Of course, my lord. You feel like the only one who understands.
Nanjo looked like he was trying to swallow his words, even though he had thought of something, so I urged him on. After Dr. Nanjo refused several times, saying that it was just a foolish idea, he finally said it out loud.
But, don't you think this might actually the work of the work?
You know, I told you to say it out loud, but man, that is ridiculous. There's no way witches exist.
The work is trying to make a case for us, particularly because there's own things that humans cannot do. So we're trying to make us accept her as a witch. To me, it's just burns from the cave ruin the entire guest house. Feels like that kind of message from the witch. It's something I must not think of. Surely it can mean anything. Oh, I'm frightened.
Things have gotten far enough that even the side characters are beginning to understand the core game mechanic.
Yeah.
I'm not even an Ushiromiya, and
I'm not even a Ushiromiya. This is going crazy.
Couldn't have said it better myself, Dr. Nanjo. As Dr. Nanjo shook with fear, it looked like he was trying to erase the fearsome thoughts that he kept imagining one after the other. When we went down the stairs, Aunt Ava and Jessica were enraged, and were each persistent in their desire to leave this place and search for their respective families. It was a desire that naturally hits close to those who can no longer see their family. Aunt Ava told Dr. Nanjo and me to stay here, but I shook my head and started walking. I've been shut up inside for a long time already. I've started wanting to breathe some outside air.
yeah, if we're going, let's go quickly. There's no way I'm gonna keep myself shut up in a place like this anymore. Let's go and find Mom, Dad, and George Nissan right now.
The blood had all risen to Jessica's head. Hope it doesn't set off her asthma. If anyone wants to stay, go ahead and stay. We'll be searching outside. What about you, Dr. Nanjo? Will you watch the place by yourself?
No.
Rather than holding up alone in a guest house whose security was by no means guaranteed, it would be better to enter a danger zone as a group of 4 people. Aunt Ava had a gun. Moving separately from her was almost like asking to be made into the next victim. In this way, the 4 of us decided to leave the guest house. Even though it should have been safe to barricade ourselves here, we lost 8 people after doing so. It was almost as though this was a holding cell from which the sacrifices could be killed, one after another. We removed the chain, unlocked the front door, and opened it. It was already pitch black. While there were some lights outside that dimly lit the pathway, they didn't have enough power to pierce the darkness that some suspicious person might be hiding in. I'm going. If you fall behind, you're on your own, okay? Still holding her gun, Aunt Ava dashed out without an umbrella. Jessica followed after her. After glancing at each other, Dr. Nanjo and I chased after them. What in the world is happening in this mansion, on this island? I've just been shut up in the guest house with the rest of the cousins since yesterday, so I don't know anything about what's going on outside. Just what is happening that I don't know about? Outside this room in the mansion, on this island, everything is happening, everything is proceeding, and everything is ending without my knowing it. Somewhere in my heart, I've already started giving up. Most likely, not one of us will see tomorrow morning. When the seagulls cry, nobody will be left alive.
Title drop.
They do that, like, every couple episodes, though.
Title drop.
Alright.
Dad, Mom.
Nah, what is it? Oh, wait, I'm dead.
Fuck. I can still hear his voice.
Nah. Jessica, I love you and support you. Even though sometimes it seems like I failed to do that, just know that as a father, my heart is always in the right place, and I will continue to strive and learn to be a better father to my precious daughter.
It must be my imagination after all.
No!
no! I hate this. I hate this. Why did our headcanon become so terrible?
Because it's Kraus.
I thought the whole point of the headcanon was that they were really good about that one thing and nothing else.
Sure.
Oh no, okay.
I'll allow it.
It's unrealistic. I
don't
accept
think
this. Clearly the most unrealistic thing here.
Who would do something like this? Ah.
So wait, at this point, are we all cut up? Oh, they haven't been yet, but I think that's everyone, right?
That should be all the sacrifices.
That leaves 6 left? Is that right? No, 5 left. Beto, what are you doing there? 5 left. Yeah, that's right.
5?
Yep.
Which 5?
Nanjo, Ava, Jessica,
Oh.
George, Battler.
Oh, sorry. I forgot Jessica, who's on screen.
I'm already forgetting my own existence. Oh no. Wow. Fucking rude. You apologize to Jessica right now.
I'm overcome with this weird desire to apologize to myself for something. That doesn't make any sense.
Jessica's woeful.
Anyway, welcome to Umineko When They Cry.
We're never getting this episode off the ground, are we? Oh wait, no, this is the middle of an episode. Wow, welcome to the mid-episode break.
Yeah.
Jessica's woeful voice echoed throughout the rose garden. Perhaps it was the intuition of a person who lived on this island. Perhaps. After checking the part of the rose garden where Aunt Rosa and Maria had fallen, and seeing nothing, Jessica went to look in the arbor next. Normally, the arbor was probably a wonderful location to enjoy tea peacefully while appreciating the roses on a good sunny day. Maybe even Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi had days when they relaxed and enjoyed their tea together down here. In that arbor lay their corpses. At least they aren't drenched in the rain like Aunt Rosa and Maria had been. There's no way I could say that out loud to Jessica at the moment. What do you think, Dr. Nanjo?
I'm sharing my opinion with you. Do you have a medical degree? No? Then step the fuck down. Strangulation, I believe. Come, take a look at this, detective. I mean, why are you taking all this? You know what? I'm just gonna roll with it. I don't care anymore. On the next, there are distinct markers that something thin was used to strangle them.
Right. I doubt those things were the primary cause for their deaths. Right there lay 2 stake-like weapons decorated with an occult design, which had been found driven into Uncle Kraus's thigh area and near Aunt Natsuhi's calf. Aunt Natsuhi was raising cows on the island. Bet you didn't know that. When we found these sticking on my parents' forehead and chest, we decided to preserve the crime scene and leave them for the police. But Jessica didn't care about such matters and immediately pulled the stakes out of her parents' forsaken bodies. By now, bodies gouged in the head, chest, stomach, knee, and leg been found.
Ah, damn it. Damn it. Damn it. I'll kill that murderer. Kill him. Ah.
With this, the 8th twilight has been completed. Is this going to continue on to the 9th twilight? The witch shall be revived and none shall be left alive.
Bring it on. If the witch revives, that means the culprit is going to make his grand appearance, right? No one's going to be left alive? Bullshit. I'll kill him. I'll definitely kill the culprit who killed Dad and Mom with my own hands.
Yeah! Give
Turns
Jessica
to
a gun!
stare at Ava. Yes, do give Jessica a gun.
Umineko, but Jessica has a gun now. Jessica let her emotions flow out as she howled furiously.
I was gonna say Umineko, but Jessica just randomly carries a gun at all times. And then I remembered that that's Higurashi.
Spoilers? Did you just spoil me on Higurashi?
Only that someone carries a gun for no reason and it's never commented on.
To avoid being crushed by grief, she could do nothing but resist it with anger. We still haven't found George. Jessica, you children had better stay here. I'll go into the mansion.
We mustn't split up. It's dangerous if we do not all stick together.
There's nothing we can do for Nissan or his wife. But George may still be alive somewhere. I have no time to waste here. There's no time to... It'll come to me. Aunt Ava screamed this, and Jessica glared at her. Ava had no more time to bother about the dead. She was more concerned with the safety of her only son, who had yet to be seen. Jessica-chan, you should stay by your father and mother's side. I'll make a short trip to the mansion. Adler-kun and Dr. Nanjo, you two can stay here as well. After arbitrarily saying this, Aunt Ava rushed out of the arbor. Arbitrarily? I called out to stop her, but there was no way she would listen. However, being alone in this situation meant nothing short of death. We silently watched her leave. It would be the same as letting her die. Since Aunt Ava was unwilling to stop, we had no choice but to follow her. And while it may be cruel to say so, Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi were already dead, so there was nothing more we could do for them. In the end, we had no choice but to console Jessica and head for the mansion together. Fortunately, Jessica stood up. Perhaps she had been able to break free from her grief, but what had surfaced in its place was an expression like a demon's.
I'll kill that person with my own hands. I'll definitely avenge them. Let's go, Battler. If we find the culprit, don't get in my way. I'm definitely gonna kill them.
I've got my own parents to avenge. Sorry, but this is first come, first serve.
Yeah, that's right. Let's kill them.
Anyway, do you want one of my stockpile of guns? At my words, Jessica finally seemed to feel like we had sympathized with her emotions. She still had that dark expression, but I felt that Jessica had regained some of her sanity. +2. We took off, chasing after Aunt Ava. Through the rose garden, up the stone steps, running at full speed towards the mansion, whose large, intimidating shadow flashed in the lightning. With this, the murderers of the epitaph, the murders, not murderers, the murders of the epitaph have reached the 8th twilight. And then on the 9th twilight, the rich shall revive, and none shall be left alive. I will most likely lose my life. But at the very least, I want to burn the truth into my eyes. It's the only thing more motivating me to move right now. We were able to meet up with Aunt Ava, who was having trouble with the lock to the front door. It seemed that all the blood had risen to Aunt Ava's head. That was probably making her fingers clumsy. Looks like she couldn't even handle the simple task of inserting the key into the lock. Then there was a faint sound. The sound of the door unlocking. Just as though it had waited for all the survivors to unite before opening. It felt to me as though the malicious mansion was trying to swallow up all the remaining humans at once. Perhaps the stench that erupted outwards the instant the door opened couldn't be described as just a smell. It wasn't just the charred smell from Grandfather. I think it may have also contained the regrets of the servants in Dad's group. All of the dead. What did it mean as it floated out, overwhelming us? Was it the cry of the dead telling us not to enter? However, Aunt Ava didn't even flinch at something like that. And we who had to chase after her were forced to step into the mansion even after receiving that message. George! George! If you can hear me, answer! George! Aunt Ava shouted at the top of her lungs. Considering the situation, it's probably far too optimistic to imagine that he's alive. When we started following Aunt Ava's example and calling out George's name in loud voices, Aunt Ava spotted something and stopped walking. She was standing in front of the door to the parlor. What is this? Dr. Nanjo, could you come here for a second?
Why do you always call me when you want something with fluid analyzed? Well, why can't anyone just call me Dr. Nanjo? Would you like a cup of coffee? Dr. Nanjo, would you like to chat for a little bit? No, it's always Dr. Nanjo. Can you put your hands on this cold, dead body? I'm tired of it.
I'm sorry, did you say something?
What is it?
I heard about the eerie magic circles written on the doors, like the one on the parlor from the adults. Eerie is the only word to describe that thing, which was scribbled with a deep red paint reminiscent of blood, so that it slowly dripped down. However, that had supposedly been there since this morning. Wondering why Aunt Ava, who had supposedly seen it already, would think it odd now. Jessica and I stared at the door.
Certainly I remember if numbers such as these were written here.
Right, they weren't. Eerie magical characters were written here, but not numbers. From what the two of them said, only the magic circle had been there this morning. However, right now there were 8 digits written near the upper part of the magic circle. 07151129.
What could that mean? Turn it upside down and it says boobies.
Upside down it says,
Nothing.
yeah, nothing I can grok anyway.
What? Let's file that one in the memory bank. So 7151129. That's interesting.
5129 7151129. I didn't know what it meant, but I didn't even want to imagine what someone had been thinking when they wrote it. Wait, what does the day that the events of Umineko start on?
In October.
It's in October?
Yeah.
October what? Early October? No, you said October, right?
Yeah.
Is it late October?
I don't know. I don't know that it's made it super clear, but I also definitely don't think that's
Yeah.
Wait! No, that's exactly the right number of digits to be an encrypted date or something.
I was thinking
like a
there's two dates
cipher.
there. July 15th or November 29th, but that seems a little basic.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know.
Or encrypted, I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. It was drawn with the same paint as the magic circle. Or maybe it's the the equivalent of a magic circle that they need for their futuristic internet guns.
Ha!
But it had clearly been written very recently. The way it had dried and the condition of the color was completely different from the magic circle part. Heh. I'm sure it just has some magical meaning. No point wasting time thinking about it. Jessica intentionally spat those words out in an attempt to push aside the eerie feel it gave off. Or it could be a magic spell. I do that a world against magic we can reside in a certain sort of number player. I believe everyone has heard of the one where adding all the numbers in each row and column leads to the same sum. Wasn't that a group of numbers buried in a rectangle? This is just a single row.
Are we gonna have to do fucking Sudoku to solve the epitaph?
I would rather do Sudoku. I can do Sudoku.
I would rather do the epitaph.
I don't have a clue what this could mean. What Jessica Chan said is probably correct. There isn't any point in us wasting time thinking about it.
So obviously there is.
Even though she said that, she probably suspected that it would actually mean something. Aunt Ava was definitely writing that number down on an old receipt. Or something with a short ballpoint pen. Unless it had some obvious pattern, it'd probably be tough to memorize a code made up of an 8-digit number. 07151129?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that would be hard to memorize.
Yeah, it would be hard to memorize 071511129.
Yeah, could you imagine trying to memorize 07151129? Well, here's the thing. Aunt Ava solved the epitaph without this information.
Yeah.
So
something else.
This is either extraneous, so it's not necessary to solve the epitaph, or it is something else entirely.
Or someone else solved it and it's a clue, or something.
Yeah, okay. But either way, it's not strictly information necessary that we would need.
But it's information we need for something.
For something, but not for the epitaph. It would be a different puzzle. It may well turn out to be helpful, but it does not seem like it is necessary information to solve the epitaph with. Cool. Unless you just fucking guessed. Could this be a date or something? A date? What are you talking about? Well, it's probably a coincidence, but my birthday is July...
What?
I didn't know that! Did we know that?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we'd been told that. Once I thought that 0715 might refer to July 15th. I figured that if 1129 stood for November 29th, maybe that'd fit perfectly.
It's Beato's birthday!
Aww! Happy birthday to Beato. Why would your birthday be written in a place like this? And what's up with November 29th? That's what I want to know. Still, it's probably just a coincidence. When I thought about it, it started to feel a little creepy. What if someone's birthday was November 29th? It's not the birthday of anyone else in my family. Not Dad or Kirie-san or Anj. Of course, it isn't my mom's either. Doesn't come from our. I don't believe it's Kenzo-san's or Genji-san's birthday. It isn't from my family either. It isn't Rosa's or Maria-chan's.
What about the servants?
Can't be anyone. Oh, that's your word.
It can't be anyone in my family, and it isn't Canon-kun's or Shannon's.
So, Goda? Or Kumasawa?
I always give the servants presents on their birthdays, so I know it for all of them. But I don't know anyone who was born on November 29th.
Okay, no, that seems to count out all the servants.
Yeah.
Okay. Once we started imagining the 8 digits weren't meaningless, but actually 2 dates written together, it really started to look that way. However, its true meaning may be something completely different, or there may be no meaning at all. Anyway, since we don't have any real clues, it's probably pointless to stand around here worrying about it. The inside of the parlor is much more important. This morning, behind each of the doors with a magic circle drawn on them had been the body of a victim. So if something new had been added to the storage, does that mean something new has been added inside the parlor? When Aunt Ava tried to open it, she felt the resistance of the lock. She immediately took out a master key and put it in the keyhole. She opened the door. Aunt Ava let out a high-pitched scream and ran inside.
Whoa! 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 Okay, good. No exiting, no exiting.
That alone was enough to tell us what had happened inside the room. Dr. Ananjo and I looked at each other and shook my head. And I shook my head slightly as we entered the parlor. This is in lieu of Ava's high-pitched scream. She instead will open a can of Coca-Cola. George! George! Hang in there! George! Dr. Nanjo, quickly! George Aniki lay there, crumpled alongside Shannon John's corpse. His chest was stained bright red, and yet, judging by his still opened eyes, I hate to say it to Aunt Ava, but I couldn't pick up any signs of life. After moving to take George's pulse, Dr. Nanjo shook his head, wordlessly reporting that George was indeed dead. Brushing him aside, Aunt Ava once again crouched beside George Aniki and started crying at the top of her lungs. With Aniki's death, one thing is certain. The murders hadn't ended on the 8th twilight. The epitaph was being carried out in its complete form, including the 9th twilight, and none shall be left alive.
Right, because George is an extra death. A bonus. Murder bonus.
Bonus onus. Murder boner? I was really starting to lose track of things. For some reason, Aunt Ava's half-crazed cries actually made me cool down. Crestfallen and exhausted, I flopped onto the sofa and plunked my feet on top of the table. Maybe all these murders numbed my heart. Instead of just being frightened, I felt completely confused. Dad and Kiryu-san are dead, and people have been killed off one by one, starting with the servants. There's been a hell of a lot of them by now. I don't know when the first murder happened, but they might have been killed at a rate of about 1 person per hour by now. I believe that the boat will come for us around 9 tomorrow. Still a full 12 hours until then. How many more sacrifices to the witch will there have to be for us to survive? The 4 of us, if one goes each hour, we won't last any longer than 4 hours.
Then there'll be -8 people.
That's not... Stop this.
Linear approximation is always accurate. I learned this from econometrics.
We won't last... We don't even know if we will last until midnight tonight. Yesterday after lunch we came into this parlor. Just as they started talking about serving some tea Aunt Rosa had bought, we kids decided to take a walk. Maria was jumping around, wasn't she? Didn't Shannon-chan bring us some cookies? She said Kumasawa-san had baked them or something. It would have been hilarious if she'd baked some mackerel into them, wouldn't it? That's right, I'll never hear Kumasawa-ba-chan's mackerel jokes again, will I? Oh, right. If I only remember stuff about Kumasawa-ba-chan, that wouldn't be fair to everyone else. Why did Dad and Kiryu-san even go outside? It's not like going without food for a day would kill us. So why did Gluttony get a hold of them and make them go out for food? But that fearless dad of mine just started complaining about being hungry. Kiryu-san, you were supposed to be the brakes for my reckless dad.
But that's not what happened. Kiryu-san was the one who asked to go out.
Yeah, because she was the one that had gotten curious about it. Yeah. Why didn't you stop him? And what about your daughter, Ange? She's still just 6 years old. Don't tell me you plan to leave her in my care. For all it's doubtful now whether even I'll be able to leave this island alive. Oh, who is this? Stop! Why are you fighting at a time like this? Jessica-chan, stop! It's been kind of noisy for a while. When I looked up to see what it was, Jessica, John, and Aunt Ava had suddenly started fighting each other. No, maybe I should say that Jessica was grabbing at Aunt Ava.
Aunt Ava killed Dad and the rest. There's no other explanation.
How foolish. Why should I know anything about what happened to your parents?
Who was on the first floor of the guest house? Aunt Ava. Dad and Mom were in the first floor lobby along with her. And who was left alive? Only Aunt Ava. Why? It's obviously because you're the culprit. You killed Mom and Dad, carried them outside, and then shamelessly locked the door.
And she's the one that solved the epitaph, too.
What?
Aunt Ava is the one that solved the epitaph. So now she wants to come clean about having solved it. And being the Ashorman family head, then it makes her all the more suspicious.
Yeah. Trying to make it seem like it was the witch's doing.
Then why do you think George disappeared? He never came down to the first floor. So did he disappear from the second floor? And who was on the second floor? You people were, right? You knew, didn't you? You knew that George slipped out of the guest house. You brazenly acted as if you didn't know anything. You stopped George, he'd be...
Stop! Jessica Shaw was in the kitchen room the whole time. And Ava Shaw was on the first floor lobby the whole time. Neither of you is responsible for anything. What we have here is simply the sadness of losing family members. The culprit is no one. Nowhere. It's all just the witch's fault. So stop hating each other, you two.
The witch's fault, huh? I wonder if that's a good way to cool down the situation right now. Yeah. I finally understand why 3 people evaporated from the guest house. When all the doors and windows were locked from the inside. This is what they were after. Making us think the culprit was inside. And sparking this ugly mutual hatred. Has to be the culprit's. The witch's goal. But if that's the case, how did the culprit lock it from the outside? When Dad's group was attacked, their master key was definitely stolen. The doors and windows to the guest house were built so you couldn't lock them from the outside, no matter how hard you tried. That seems useless.
What?
How would you lock the house when you go away from it?
Yeah, it would be normal for windows, but for doors, that would be weird.
I guess it's on an island, so like, what are you really locking it from? But still.
Yeah, that makes sense, I guess, but...
So that master key should have had nothing to do with the guest house closed room. Jessica and Aunt Ava were turning their sadness at losing their blood relatives into anger at the person in front of them. Dr. Nanjo was trying to step between them. And I sat on the sofa staring up at the ceiling, thinking about things that didn't even matter anymore with a worn-out expression. I just couldn't believe that this was the same parlor that had been so warm and pleasant midday yesterday, for just a short time before the typhoon hit. I think this is Jessica.
Yeah! Ah!
The sudden sound of a gunshot shook me out of my half-asleep trance. Smoke was rising out of the barrel of the gun Aunt Ava held. Jessica had fallen to the floor and was covering both her eyes. Aunt Ava and Dr. Nanjo were looking down at her in shock.
Are you okay, Jessica-san? Jessica-san!
Ah, it hurts, it hurts, it hurts! Ah!
It wasn't my fault. This happened because you came at me even after I told you to stop. Hey, wait a second, what's going on? So did Jessica grab at Aunt Ava, which turned into a scuffle? Did they start fighting over Aunt Ava's gun? Did some kind of impact cause the trigger to be pulled? I didn't know if the bullet had grazed her or if she'd been burned by the discharge. But either way, Jessica was covering both her eyes, screaming, it hurts, and rolling around on the floor.
Don't worry, calm down. It's not a serious wound, so get a hold of yourself.
My eyes hurt, it hurts, I can't see. I can't see.
Dr. Nanjo let Jessica borrow his shoulder, saying that he would tend to her in the servant room. The servant room in this mansion had a bed and a first aid kit and was able to function as an infirmary.
Damn it, you killed Mom and Dad. I'll kill you, I'll kill you.
It wasn't me, it wasn't me.
Jessica-san will aggravate the room, so do not move out. Come, let us go to the servant room.
Jessica continued to curse Aunt Ava as her parents' murderer. It seemed that Aunt Ava couldn't conceal her trembling at the fact that she had pulled the trigger, even if it had been an accident. It wasn't my fault. Not because that kid jumped at me. I didn't kill anyone. More importantly, who killed George? That's right, who killed George? George! It isn't my fault, it isn't my fault. Wait a second, Aunt Ava! Don't go off on your own! I didn't know if it was because Aunt Ava couldn't bear her mistake, or if she'd given up control of her body to anger at the person who had killed her only son, or if it was both of those and mixed all together. At any rate, she ran out into the corridor, yelling, fearful and screaming. I was also worried about Jessica's condition, but right then I couldn't leave Aunt Ava alone. Why would she go off on her own in this mansion? Of all places, is she suicidal? Dr. Nanjo took Jessica towards the servant room. I chased after Aunt Ava, dashing into the depths of the mansion.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.